On this video, I'm going to catch you up on a 2005 Jeep Wrangler TJ build that's got a very cool history. Now you might recognize this Jeep from a feature I did about a year ago where the father and son told you about building this thing and actually owning it since new. This has been in the same family for many years. Now, as you see it behind me, it has grown quite substantially, and I'm actually going to bring in the owner to let you know why it's gotten so big and some of the things that we're actually going to be doing with this Jeep on the channel. All right, let's get to it. All right, so I'm here with my buddy Jackson Carter, and if he looks young, it's because he is, and he's got a much cooler Jeep than I ever had when I was in high school. So Jackson, tell people how old you are and how in the world you came out with a Jeep like this.
Yeah, so I'm 17 years old, and this is my daily driver. My dad owns Low Range 4x4, so I get to work up there, and we built this Jeep together.
I know last time we sort of showed everybody this Jeep, kind of went into the history of it, and I'll put a link here for that video so everybody can see that. Last time we showed it, it was on 37s, still had the 1-ton axle, so it's got Dana 60s, so you can actually go wheel this thing. But it's quite a bit larger, so before we get too far into that, let's go over the basics. So if anybody's looking at building a 2005 TJ, they kind of get an idea of what you've done. What's under the hood?
Under the hood is the stock 4.0. Inline 6. It's done good for me so far, yeah. What's
behind? Have you had to do any power upgrades, any programmers, anything like that?
No power upgrades. It doesn't have much power, but it's fine for me.
Right. It's better to be over-axled and under-powered, right?
Then it's got a 42 RE transmission. It was rebuilt at about 100,000 miles. It went out on me. And it's got the stock Rubicon transfer case. It's got a 1350 Tom Woods drive shaft double cardan. It's connected to the Dana 60s. The front's a high pinion built by East Coast Gear Supply, and the rear is a junkyard out of a E350 van. Okay.
Now what do you have for gears and lockers and all that stuff?
They're 538 Yukon gears. It's got ARB air lockers, front and rear.
Now, why ARB? Is it mostly because it's a daily driver?
Yeah, it's a daily driver. I wanted a selectable locker so I could turn it off when I need it, turn it back on.
Right. Now, packaging, where's your air compressor and stuff?
I've got the air compressor under the hood. It's the dual compressor.
Okay.
So it's got enough power. I can air up the tires with it too.
Right. Now, last time we saw it, it was still stock wheelbase, and that's really what we're seeing is more of the big change now. It's now a little bit longer. The tires are definitely much larger. So let's get into, I guess, the meat and potatoes of everything. Now, your suspension setup hasn't changed drastically, not in the front really, so it's still Rubicon Express, radius style control arms, didn't really mess with that. What size coil do you have up front?
It's a 4.5 up front.
Okay, so it's just a straight 4.5 inch RE coil. Now out back, that's where everything sort of got rebooted. So walk me through that whole process.
Yeah, out back, it's a 4-inch stretch. It's a custom stretch, so we just made the arms. It's got a 2.0 King coilover, 12-inch travel in the back. It's got a Barnes shock tower, the Motobilt 4-inch stretch corners. I've got ORO backup or tail lights, and then I've got rigid backup lights. I got them flush mounted into the right below the tailgate. It's just an extra backup light.
Now, what all did you have to do to make the stretch on this thing? It's been a long time since I've owned a TJ, so I know fuel cell is incredibly important on these things, so what did you end up going with?
It's a 15-gallon Motobilt, the stretch tank, so it gives us room to stretch it back for the axle so it doesn't hit it.
Now, what was the main drive why you wanted to stretch the Jeep?
Well, I wanted to go up to the 40-inch Nittos, so I didn't want to go too big of a tire on the stock wheelbase. So I stretched it out a little bit.
How does it feel driving compared to the 37s on stock wheelbase to this with the, you know?
I think it drives a little better now that it's stretched out. It's not a huge stretch, so it doesn't look crazy stretched.
Right.
So.
Now, why not go crazy stretch and fuel cell and make it all silly?
Well, I still daily drive it, so I don't want to put the fuel cell in the back, so lose all that room.
Yeah. You'd still have a spare tire carrier back there.
Yep.
Now you're kind of wisely going, I don't think a 40 is probably a good idea, but I still want to have a spare. So what's your setup in the back?
It's a 37-inch Nitto Trail Grappler. It's a Rusty's tire carrier. So I'm just not running a full size. I don't think I'll really need it. These are pretty strong tires, but just to have it.
All right, so obviously the stretch was a big deal, but at the same time, I think last time we shot this thing, we were still on stock rocker guards, stock front fenders, all that's changed out. So walk me through all that.
Yeah, so I got new Motobilt rocker guards with the step. They're steel. They're for the stretch fitment, so they fit right up against the corners. Then I got aluminum Motobilt Highline fenders just to get some more room for the tires so we didn't have to lift it too high up. And I swapped out the bumper, so I got a Motobilt stubby bumper with a bar. It's got a Warn VR Evo 8S winch up front. So when we put on the Highlines, we had to chop the hood a little bit, so we just cut it a few inches so they'd fit right up against each other. It's got a Poison Spider hood vent up there. We didn't have heating problems, it just looks cool. I liked it.
What have you done for lighting upgrades on this?
I've just got some rigid pods up there. And then in the back, like I said, I have the backup lights, just the flush mounted lights. And then my headlights are GG Lighting headlights, LEDs. They work great. I like them.
One of the things that I wanted to do, not only to update everybody on this really cool Jeep, Jackson is a lot of times behind the scenes, which you probably don't get to see. He actually helps me film a lot of these videos. He's a fantastic, we'll say aspiring filmmaker, so he'll probably be much better than I am eventually, which is awesome. But this Jeep has kind of got a point now where, what's the biggest challenge now with moving to a 40-inch tall tire with 3.5 inches of back spacing and stock steering?
Yeah, the steering gets a little heavy. I'm definitely gonna have to upgrade that in the future. I'll probably go Hydro Assist, probably by PSC, just to give me that extra support.
Right, so keep an eye out for some future videos on that. It still has a stock steering gearbox, I guess, just worth to say. It is basically a custom steering setup that Low Range built. And now, one thing that I really like, and you don't really see with the JL and JK because they're so fat compared to the TJ, is this narrow body, super wide stance, so you can go down hard trails and have that stability. Like, tell me why you went with this particular wheel and tire package to sort of create this look.
Yeah. It's pretty wide. It keeps me stable on and off the road. It doesn't float around too much, so I like it how it is. So I have the Nitto Trail Grapplers. I like the sidewall, the super strong. It's got the tread blocks on the side. I previously had the Mud Grapplers. I love those too. I just wanted to switch it up a little bit.
How do the Trail Grapplers on-road compare to the Mud Grapplers?
I feel like they drive the same. They're definitely quieter. These make pretty much no noise. The Mud Grapplers are known for their noise. So these are a 40 by 1350 Nitto Trail Grappler, and they're mounted on a 17-inch KMC machete beadlock. They're a true beadlock, so I can air them down to 5 PSI and not worry a bit.
So are there any big interior mods done to this thing? I know you're daily driving it. Like, what all have you done to kind of get this thing, and how has it changed from last time?
Yeah, I added a Motobilt kind of cargo rack in the back. Just so I can tie stuff down, keep it up, so I have the bottom of the trunk area to put whatever I need in there. I like it.
So what's next? This thing is pretty incredible as it is. I know that there's more stuff that you want to do to it. I know sometimes you got to kind of that big picture plan for this Jeep. So what's the ultimate goal?
I like to put coilovers in the front, put a cage in there, seats, power upgrades down the road, maybe an engine swap or something like that, but that's long down the road.
How's the power in general? I mean, these things are known for reliability. 4-liter inline six is probably one of the most reliable engines, but in terms of 40s and 538s, do you feel like it's just at that tipping point. Like, it's also worth noting, we live in the coastal plain, so most of our speed limit around here is 55. It's very flat. We live at the beach, but we do have to drive to Wind Rocky Quarry and stuff, and that's very far from us, and very much so a lot of elevation. So what's sort of been your experience so far with the 40s and that?
I can definitely feel the extra weight of the 40s versus the 37s. With the 538s, it's not terrible getting around town. It's got enough torque to get me up to the speed limit, and that's all I really need.
If you want to see what Jackson's doing behind the scene, I'll put his little @ right here so you can check him out on Instagram, TikTok, whatever the kids are doing these days. If you got any questions for me, just put them in the comments. If you want to see what I'm working on behind the scenes, you can check me out on all social platforms @ Ollie Mansour Editor. As always, appreciate you guys watching, and yeah, we're going to go try to beat a storm and get a little bit more filming done today. So appreciate you guys watching. Take care. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider subscribing to the Driving Line channel. Our goal is to excite, entertain, and educate you on all things automotive. So if you want to come be part of our journey, please hit that subscribe button, and we hope to see you on the next video. Take care.